ladies and gentlemen. Hello and welcome back. You're watching Day 2 of the Challenger League of WCS America here live in New York City. I'm axeltoss, joined by axslav. We're currently halfway through the day. We had Maker versus Muslim starting things off, followed by Illusion versus Maxed. Coming up right very soon is going to be Minigun versus Ian, and of course we're going to finish up the day. Killer versus Top. Of course, Challenger League is basically here to decide who's going to be in next season's Premier League. Of course, we have players coming from qualifiers, we have players dropping down from the Premier League. But of course, here you see what has happened so far. Muslim with the 2-1 over Maker. Illusion, the 2-0 over Max. Had a very convincing win there from Illusion, even though he clearly made some mistakes that he would even admit. Missing stim as you're going for stim timing, Mr. Nick.
It's the timing's weaker.
Oh,
stim timings without
yeah,
stim
it
are
is
a little bit weaker. Of course, if you're just tuning in and you miss these games, don't forget to check them out on YouTube. They'll be up within a few hours. YouTube.com/official MLGSC2. Everything we do here at MLG, Winter Championships, Winter Showdown Series, Winter Exhibition, every WCS game, every rules of engagement, in addition to comment of the days, top plays, top fives of the week. A lot of awesome content there for free in 1080p quality.
I love our YouTube community. Very active in the comments on the videos. I love reading those. And I feel like one day we're gonna catch Call of Duty. I feel like one day they're at like 90,000 subscribers.
Call of Duty's insane.
Or something crazy. We're like 30,000.
Call of Duty people love their
They love their
content.
YouTubes, yeah. So yeah, guys, definitely take advantage of that and drop a subscribe if you want. But yes, the next match of the day is gonna be Minigun versus Ian. And this should be a pretty interesting match. Minigun, of course, the player from Root Gaming, has a significant history in the North American scene. He's been a ladder warrior. Of course, Ian, a little bit unknown. We have a nice little black portrait of him.
Minigun, of course, every online tournament he's consistently doing well. I mean, the Winter Showdown Series shows up 3-0 Zidra.
Yeah.
But sometimes when it comes to the bigger, more premier events, he falls a little bit short. I know a lot of people were cheering him on against Apocalypse. I actually thought he would beat Apocalypse. If it was an online match, I think he would have. But yeah. I mean, it wasn't online. But I mean, if it wasn't quite as big of a profile match, I think he tends to do better. He has sometimes problems with nerves when it comes to the bigger leagues, and that's what he struggled with.
He also has a great stream, very hilarious stream. So definitely check that out. And again, Ian, we don't know too much about him. But he is a player from Taiwan. He's on team Yo Ironman.
That's an awesome name.
Yeah, when I read that, I'm like, wow, that's a sick name. I want to be on that team. Players are ready. I'm going to hit start game.
Let's do it.
Yes.
Let's do it. Of course, a PVZ here. And I feel like Minigun is probably slightly favored. But Ian is relatively more of an unknown, so it's going to be very exciting to see what style he puts forth. But Minigun's PVZ is very good. He's very good at both timings and at just playing that turtle game.
Yeah.
Building up that death ball and then microing death ball very well. Extremely good use of Storm is one of his characteristics.
All right, here we are in our third best of 3 of the night. Again, you're watching the Challenger League. Winners here advance on to the next round of the bracket stage of the Challenger League. Of course, the bracket stage involves 3 matches. If you win all 3, you're through to the Premier League. And if you lose one of them, you drop down to the group stage of the Challenger League. In the bottom right-hand location of this game, number 1 of this best of 3, we have the red Protoss player hailing from the United States of America on team Root Gaming. He is Minigun. His opponent in the top left-hand location, your blue Zerg player from team Yo Ironman. Plays a lot in the Taiwan Esports League, but still relatively unknown. He is Ian. Of course, Minigun was 3rd in the group involving Nestea, Apocalypse, and Phoenix. Ian came from the qualifier for the Challenger League. And thematically speaking, most players from the Premier League have won. We have 5 out of the 6 matches being won by the Premier League player so far.
The Muslim being the first to come in from the Challenger qualifiers and take a series off the people who have dropped down from that Premier League.
Wasn't easy.
No, Maker put up a very strong fight there. And Minigun, of course, is going for that fast expansion, Nexus, and then Forge. I've seen a lot of Protoss players. In fact, I would almost say the Gateway expansions maybe are more popular than the Forge expansions in modern PvZ. But Minigun saying, you know what, the tried and true is what I love to do. This is, you know, the style I like to play. There's nothing wrong. It's not like Forge expansions are a bad build now. It's just that it's interesting to see the way the metagame has been shifting slightly more towards these gateway expansions. Is it just because of a new trend and type of builds Protoss like to play and the style, or is it actually with the Mothership Core, is it maybe even a stronger opening? I don't know. We'll have to wait and see as people keep experimenting with the different types of openings until they solidify one.
I mean, this is like a really interesting matchup because Minigun historically has not liked PvZ that much. He's been very vocal about that. He doesn't have much fun with it. I mean, in ST, he got destroyed by ST 2-0. It wasn't even close. And he's playing a Zerg player that he doesn't necessarily know the style of. It's not like there's VODs out there everywhere. It's not like there's replays out there everywhere that Minigun can look at of Ian's play. So he doesn't necessarily know what to expect from the Zerg player. So I would expect Minigun to be very proactive about scouting, making sure to send those hallucinated Phoenixes every minute to find out exactly what's going on. Maybe incorporate some sort of 2-base pressure to scare his opponent a little bit. We're seeing Ian not take a gas at all yet. 3 hatches and no gas, which is relatively interesting because some Zerg players like to get that early gas. Just get 100 of it so they can start up speed, get that map control.
That is true. It's typically something they do if they don't see the Forge expansion. But of course, the Overlord gets there to see what's going on. And also it's something Zerg players do if they want to go for like that Ultralist Rush tech or something, where they really need the map control early to make sure that they can stop proxy pylons without having to invest in roaches or all these other units that slow that tech down. Of course, Minigun, his PvZ woes, I think a lot of it stemmed from the mid-game.
Yeah.
Especially from when we were watching his games against Nesty. The mid-game can be very tricky to play against a Zerg, especially some of the very high-level Zergs who will max out so fast. And with that macro, the mid-game is just you're like down by 60 food. I mean, even at the very pro level, the Protoss is often down by 60 food at a certain point. And that can be a difficult point to kind of get through that point of game and get to the late game. Or, of course, other options is to try to kill the Zerg before they get to that mid-game. Let's see which route Minigun takes, or if he just says, you know, I'll play a very standard game. Going for a Stargate. So it looks like a... And, you know, he's putting it in the bottom right of his main.
Trying to hide it.
Sneaky Stargate.
Probably going to hide some Phoenixes. You know, getting 3 or 4 before going out.
Triple gas going down for Ian. Pretty standard. They're getting them close to 50 supply. A lot of Zergs wait a few seconds longer, or they get only 2 gas, but get them earlier.
And about now is when you go in and look for that tech. So we'll have to keep an eye on these Overlords from Ian to see what he can spot. Sees the 2 gas set his opponent's natural expansion.
And that's the most important thing.
Yeah.
Because that tells you whether to get Lair first or Roach Warren. Actually, interesting. He's getting the Roach Warren first, even though he sees 2 gas. Maybe he thinks Minigun's playing mind games with him, or maybe he just likes to get that Roach Warren extra early. And he's getting speed before Lair as well. Wow, he's reacting as if he thinks it's a gateway timing. But it's not. So his tech is going to be...
Did Minigun fake anything? I mean...
No. He hasn't. In fact, I mean, he's revealed both the gases. You know, it could be. Ian just always wants to play the same opening. And he's like, if I'm only going to play one opening, I'm going to make sure it's one that's safe for his gateway timings. So that way none of my timings are ever mixed up, right? And in fact, 8 roaches. Wow. This is actually... Is he going to go for... Is he going to play like a vibe style build? Where he just tries to
break the natural?
Yeah.
If your opponent... I mean, because Minigun is committing a lot to these Phoenixes, which aren't generally that good against, obviously, a lot of roaches and lings. You kind of need a lot of gateway units. You need a Void Ray, perhaps, some AoE.
This is a bit of an off timing, though, because he went to 54 drones first. And 54 drones is not enough to play a very comfortable macro game off of.
I was getting a layer. Yeah, go on. Sorry.
But it's also, I think this attack is about a minute too late to really cripple Minigun, unless Minigun doesn't see it coming. If his Phoenixes are going on the right side. If the Phoenixes saw this coming, they could pick off 4 of those roaches on the route, or probably 2, and then pick off 2 more during the battle. But he has no idea this is coming.
Only 1 sentry.
And he could easily lose his Forge and his Psych, which are both very important buildings.
All right, we have the Zerg player heading toward the natural expansion. Meanwhile, the Phoenixes are across the map. And the Roaches taking down the cannon, going to target down the Forge. Minigun desperately trying to deal with this. The Phoenix is still across the map, not doing much, not pulling him back. But Ian just charging into the natural, and there's not much here to defend.
There's no Photon overcharge. There's no Phoenixes. That's just an instant win.
Huh.
You know, this is why you send a Zealot out to the Watchtower.
Yeah. So you can have some time to repair.
Yeah, or at least force the Zerg to get a bunch of Zerglings first, which they either have to cut their drones earlier or they have to have the roaches stop to hang out. But yeah, Minigun, no map vision at all there. You know what? This also could be why we see a lot of top protests now. They don't hide the Phoenix anymore.
They just send the one Phoenix out.
Yeah, and then he would have spotted that coming, and he would have easily held it. But
because you know, he didn't. Ian didn't know his Stargate.
He didn't.
Yeah, he just built a spore as the Phoenixes arrived at his third base. The Queen was taken out right away. But at that point, the Lings and Roaches were already across the map.
It's a very interesting timing. It wasn't exactly what Vibe did against Sage. It was later.
Yeah.
It was less all in, and it was later. And it was a timing. I don't know if I've seen the exact. I've seen the one similar where it's 55 drones, but they get lair first and they do like speed roach crazy bus. But this was earlier than that. It was an interesting time. I haven't seen it before. And it was really cool to see a player win with that.
I think it's one of those things where it's like, you know, it's a Taiwanese player. He's not broadcasting his play. You don't know what they're doing over there in Taiwan. And you know, maybe that build a lot. Maybe that build works a lot on the Taiwanese, you know, among the Taiwanese players.
Maybe it works a lot everywhere. It's just people haven't found it yet.
Exactly. Exactly. Well,
it's a new standard ZVP coming at you guys potentially.
Minigun finding out the hard way, I guess. So we'll have to see what happens as this match continues. Again, a best of 3 between Minigun and Ian. Game 2 coming up.